Welcome to Cupid's Corner, where love stories come alive. Sit back, relax, and let the tales of romance sweep you off your feet.
Survival of the Heart. The sun dipped low over the skeletal remains of downtown Los Angeles, casting long shadows over crumbling buildings and shattered glass. The once bustling streets were now a graveyard of rusted cars and overgrown weeds. A faint moan echoed in the distance, followed by the unmistakable shuffle of the undead. Alex crouched behind a dilapidated wall, his breath steady but his heart racing. He had learned to survive in this new world, where every corner could hide danger, human or otherwise. "Damn it," he muttered, glancing sideways at the street that led to what used to be a pharmacy. "I can't believe I'm risking my neck for some antibiotics." "Alex," a voice hissed from behind him. He turned to see Casey, her eyes wide with urgency. "We need to hurry. They are coming." "Who's coming?" He kept his voice low, scanning the area. "The usual suspects," she replied, her brow furrowed. "You know, the ones who don't knock before barging in." Alex chuckled despite the tension. "Right. I'd hate for them to think we were rude." "Focus." Casey snapped, but the glimmer of a smile tugged at her lips. "I'm serious. We have to get inside before our friends show up," he finished, standing up and brushing off his tattered jeans. "Let's go." They darted across the street, ducking into the pharmacy just as the moans grew louder. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the remnants of a world long gone. Shelves lay toppled, with boxes spilling their contents like confetti in a graveyard. Casey moved quickly, rifling through the debris with the determination of a woman who had seen too much suffering. "Over here," she called, her voice echoing through the silence. "I think I found something." Alex joined her, holding his breath as he peered into a cabinet. "Is that antibiotics?" she exclaimed, her face lighting up. "This could save lives." "Sure, if we can get it back to the clinic in one piece," he replied, glancing out the shattered window. "And if we don't get ambushed on the way?" "Just be ready," she said, stuffing the vials into her backpack. "We can't let them take this from us." As they turned to leave, the sound of shuffling feet grew louder, punctuated by the soft, guttural moans of the undead. Alex's heart raced. "Casey, we need to move, now." They slipped out the back entrance, but the alley was blocked by a group of zombies, their rotting faces twisted in hunger. Alex reached for the makeshift weapon he always carried, a steel pipe, but Casey grabbed his arm. "Wait. We can't fight them all," she urged, her grip firm yet gentle. "There's another way." "Are you kidding?" "We're cornered," he hissed, glancing over his shoulder as the closest zombie lurched forward, its decaying hand reaching for them. "Trust me," she said, her voice steady. "Follow me." With a swift motion, she led him down a narrow side street, darting between crumbling walls. Alex followed, adrenaline coursing through his veins as the moans faded behind them. They finally stopped, panting, in a small alcove filled with debris. "Nice move," he said, slightly out of breath. "But next time, let's not go to the zombie buffet, okay?" Casey laughed, the tension breaking. "I'll put that on my list of survival tips." "Speaking of survival," Alex said, looking around the alley, "how are we going to get back to the clinic with this?" He gestured to her backpack. "We'll take the long way." "Less traffic," she replied, her eyes scanning the street ahead. "And I know a few back routes. Just keep your eyes peeled." "Always," he said, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. As they moved, he felt the familiar pull of protectiveness toward her. She was bright in this dark world, a beacon of hope amid chaos. "Do you ever wonder if it's worth it?" Casey asked suddenly, her voice breaking the silence. "What?" "Surviving." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. I mean, look at this place. It's a graveyard, and we're just trying to scrape by," she said, sadness creeping into her tone. "Every day," he admitted, his gaze fixed on the cracked pavement. "But then I remember why we do it. People like you, Casey. You're out here trying to save lives. It gives it all meaning." "You make it sound so easy," she said, her lips quirking up. But some days, I feel like I'm just prolonging the inevitable. Then let's make it count, he replied, stopping to meet her gaze. Let's save as many as we can. Casey's expression softened, and for a moment, the weight of the world faded. Thank you, Alex. For everything. Just doing my job, he said, though he felt a warmth spreading through him. Besides, I couldn't let you do this alone. As they reached a familiar intersection, Alex suddenly felt the gnawing sense of danger again. Hold up, he whispered, glancing around. Something feels off. A tense silence enveloped them as they crouched behind an overturned car. The sound of distant voices drifted toward them, harsh and aggressive. Alex strained to listen. Where the hell are they? A gruff voice shouted. They have our supplies. Keep looking. They can't have gone far, another voice replied, filled with malice. Looks like our friendly neighbors are hunting for us, Alex muttered, shifting slightly to keep an eye on the approaching figures. Hostiles. Casey whispered, her eyes wide. Definitely. We need to move. He scanned the area, spotting a narrow alley just a few feet away. Follow my lead. They slipped out from behind the car and sprinted toward the alley, hearts pounding. Just as they reached the entrance, a loud shout erupted behind them. There they are, their first voice yelled. Run! Alex barked, pulling Casey along as they dashed deeper into the alley. The sound of footsteps echoed behind them, growing closer. Why do they want us? Casey gasped, her breath coming in short bursts. Because we have what they want, Alex replied, glancing back to see one of the men gaining on them. And they are not the type to negotiate. We can't keep running forever, Casey panted. We need a plan. Then let's make one, he said, spotting a doorway to their left. In there. They ducked inside an abandoned building, the door creaking ominously as it swung shut. Dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through broken windows. The air was stale, and the floorboards creaked beneath their feet. Where do we go? Casey whispered, her eyes darting around the room. Upstairs, Alex decided, pointing to a staircase in the corner. We'll have the high ground. As they climbed, every creak felt like a death knell. They reached the second floor, and Alex pushed open a door to a small room, shoving Casey inside. Stay quiet. They listened as their voices grew louder outside. They went in here. Search the building, one of the men shouted. Casey's eyes widened in fear. What if they find us? Then we fight, Alex said, his voice steady. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. They waited in tense silence, hearts racing. The footsteps grew closer, the men's voices a low growl of frustration. Alex peered through a crack in the door, spotting two figures rifling through the debris below. Damn it, he muttered, ready to bolt if necessary. Alex, Casey whispered, her hand finding his. I don't want to die here. Not like this. Neither do I, he replied, squeezing her hand. But we're not going to give up. Not now. Suddenly, the door to their room creaked open, and Alex's instincts kicked in. He pushed Casey behind him, stepping forward as a figure loomed in the doorway. Get back! Alex shouted, raising the steel pipe. Whoa, whoa, the man said, holding up his hands. We're not here to hurt you. Yeah, right, Alex snapped, his eyes narrowing. You're not getting anything from us. Wait. Just listen, the man pleaded. We're looking for supplies too. We didn't know you were in here. Then you should have knocked, Alex said, his grip on the pipe unwavering. Please. We can trade, the man insisted, stepping closer, his eyes darting nervously between Alex and Casey. We know where more supplies are. We can help each other. Help each other. Alex scoffed. What's stopping you from turning on us the second you get what you want? Nothing, the man admitted, lowering his hands. But we're desperate. We can't survive alone. Casey stepped forward, her voice calm yet firm. And we're not just going to throw our lives away on a gamble. Look, we can show you where to find food, medicine, anything you need. The man's voice wavered. We're all just trying to survive here, right? Alex exchanged a glance with Casey, who seemed to be considering it. "What's your name?" he asked the man. "Derek," he replied. "I'm just trying to help my group." "And how do we know you're not just leading us into a trap?" Casey pressed, her brow furrowed. "Because I'm not a monster," Derek said, his voice earnest. "I lost my family too. I know what it's like." "Fine," Alex said, lowering his pipe slightly but keeping his guard up. "Show us." Derek nodded, relief flooding his features. "Thank you. Follow me." They stepped cautiously out of the room, Alex keeping a close eye on Derek as they moved through their building. The air was thick with tension, but a flicker of hope ignited within Casey. As they descended the staircase, Casey whispered to Alex, "Do you think we can trust him?" "Trust is a luxury we can't afford," he replied quietly. "Just stay close." "Alex," Casey whispered, her hand finding his. "I don't want to die here." "Not like this." "Neither do I," he replied, squeezing her hand. "But we're not going to give up. Not now." Suddenly, the door to their room creaked open, and Alex's instincts kicked in. He pushed Casey behind him, stepping forward as a figure loomed in the doorway. "Get back!" Alex shouted, raising the steel pipe. "Whoa, whoa," the man said, holding up his hands. "We're not here to hurt you." "Yeah, right," Alex snapped, his eyes narrowing. "You're not getting anything from us." "Wait. Just listen," the man pleaded. "We're looking for supplies too. We didn't know you were in here." "Then you should have knocked," Alex said, his grip on the pipe unwavering. "Please. We can trade," the man insisted, stepping closer, his eyes darting nervously between Alex and Casey. "We know where more supplies are. We can help each other." "Help each other?" Alex scoffed. "What's stopping you from turning on us the second you get what you want?" "Nothing," the man admitted, lowering his hands. "But we're desperate. We can't survive alone." Casey stepped forward, her voice calm yet firm. "And we're not just going to throw our lives away on a gamble. Look, we can show you where to find food, medicine, anything you need." The man's voice wavered. "We're all just trying to survive here, right?" Alex exchanged a glance with Casey, who seemed to be considering it. "What's your name?" he asked the man. "Derek," he replied. "I'm just trying to help my group." "And how do we know you're not just leading us into a trap?" Casey pressed, her brow furrowed. "Because I'm not a monster," Derek said, his voice earnest. "I lost my family too. I know what it's like." "Fine," Alex said, lowering his pipe slightly but keeping his guard up. "Show us." Derek nodded, relief flooding his features. "Thank you. Follow me." They stepped cautiously out of the room, Alex keeping a close eye on Derek as they moved through their building. The air was thick with tension, but a flicker of hope ignited within Casey. As they descended the staircase, Casey whispered to Alex, "Do you think we can trust him?" "Trust is a luxury we can't afford," he replied quietly. "Just stay close." "Alex," Casey whispered, her hand finding his. "I don't want to die here. Not like this. Get out of here." Alex growled, his heart racing. He could feel Casey's presence behind him, her breath quickening. "We can't let them take us." "Let's take what they've got, boys," the leader commanded, advancing on them. "No. We need those supplies," Casey cried, stepping forward. "People are suffering. We can help you." "Help," the leader scoffed. "We're not interested in your charity." "Then what do you want?" Alex snapped, keeping his stance firm. "Are you really going to do this?" "Stand down," the leader barked, motioning to his men. "We're taking everything." The tension thickened, and Alex felt an urge to fight, but he knew they were outnumbered. "Casey, stay back," he said, his voice low. "No," she protested, stepping up beside him. "We can't give in." "Enough," the leader shouted, raising his weapon. "You think you're heroes? You're just as dead as the rest of them." In that instant, time seemed to freeze. Alex's heart pounded in his chest, and he knew they had to act. "Run," he yelled, grabbing Casey's hand and pulling her toward the exit. They bolted past the stunned men, adrenaline fueling their escape. "Keep moving!" Alex shouted, his breath coming in ragged gasps. They tore through the back door, bursting into the open air. Behind them, furious shouts echoed, but they didn't look back. They ran through the alleyways, weaving between debris and half-collapsed buildings. "Where do we go?" Casey gasped, her legs burning. "Just keep running," Alex urged, his heart pounding in time with their footsteps. Finally, they skidded to a halt in a hidden alcove, panting heavily. "Did we lose them?" Casey asked, leaning against the wall. "I think so," Alex replied, scanning the area. "But we can't stay here long." "Alex, that was insane," Casey said, her voice shaky. "I thought we were done for." "I wasn't going to let them take you," he said, his eyes serious. "Not now, not ever." A moment of silence stretched between them, the weight of their near-death experience hanging in the air. Then, in the midst of their shared fear, something shifted, a connection sparked between them. "Thank you," Casey whispered, her eyes softening. "For what?" he asked, his heart racing for a different reason. "For believing in me. For being willing to fight for what's right," she said, stepping closer. Alex's breath caught in his throat. "You don't have to thank me. You're worth fighting for." Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the world outside faded away. The chaos of survival disappeared as they drew closer, the heat of their connection igniting something deeper. "Alex," Casey began, but he silenced her with a gentle touch, his fingers brushing against her cheek. "I know," he murmured, leaning in as their lips met. The kiss was tentative at first, both of them tasting the sweetness of hope amid despair. Casey melted against him, her hands finding their way to his hair as she deepened the kiss. Time stood still, and for a moment, they were just two people lost in each other, forgetting the horrors surrounding them. But reality came crashing back as a distant shout broke the spell. They pulled apart, breathless, their hearts racing for reasons far beyond survival. "Back to the clinic," Alex said, his eyes ablaze with determination. "We need to regroup." "Right," Casey replied, her cheeks flushed. "Let's go." Together, they slipped back into the shadows, hearts entwined with a newfound strength. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but they would face it together, united in their purpose to survive and protect the vulnerable. As they moved through the ruins of Los Angeles, the city breathed around them, a ghost of what it once was. But amid the rubble and despair, hope flickered like a flame, fueled by their bond. "Whatever happens," Alex said, glancing at Casey, "we'll make it through this." "I believe that," she replied, her smile radiant. Together. And together they would face the darkness, their hearts intertwined like the city's tangled ruins, ready to forge a new path in a world that had forgotten what it meant to be alive. The end.
Thank you for listening. Let's spread the love. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because everyone deserves a bit of romance.